Welcome back, fearless wanderers of night, to creepy urban legends for sleep. You step into a world where city streets hide secrets darker than the shadows they cast. Tonight, we unravel 10 chilling urban legends, true scary stories born in concrete jungles, whispered in alleyways, and etched into the memories of those who dare to listen. From vanishing hitchhikers to cursed phone calls that echo beyond the grave, these tales will weave dread into your dreams while guiding you into a deep, eerie slumber. Dim the lights, pull your blanket tight, and let the city's mysteries unfold. But tread carefully. Some legends have a way of finding you. Our journey begins on a rain-soaked road with the Hitchhiker's Lament. The Hitchhiker's Lament. In the autumn of 1982, Thomas Harper, a 38-year-old truck driver from Peoria, Illinois, navigated the desolate stretches of Route 66, hauling grain through a storm that battered his rig. The clock glowed 12:47 a.m., its green digits faint against the rain's relentless drum. Tom was a loner by trade, accustomed to the highway's own. But tonight, the air felt charged, the darkness pressing against his windshield like a living thing. Route 66, with its faded motels and ghost towns, carried a weight of stories, tales of wanderers lost, of shadows that move without light, miles from the nearest town. His headlights caught a figure by the roadside, a young woman, barely 20, standing in a white dress, her hair plastered to her face by the rain. She waved, her hand pale, glowing in the beam. Tom's father had warned him about strangers, but her desperation tugged at him. He pulled over, brakes hissing, and rolled down the window. "Need a ride?" he called, his voice nearly lost in the storm. She nodded, climbing into the cab, her movement slow, deliberate. "Springfield," she said, her voice soft but piercing, cutting through the rain's roar. "I need to get to Springfield." She introduced herself as Mary, settling into the passenger seat, her hands folded tightly in her lap. Tom noticed her dress was dry, untouched by the rain, the fabric pristine despite the mud outside. He chalked it up to the cab's dim light, but a chill settled in his bones. The heater sputtered, the cab growing colder, and the radio, tuned to a country station, dissolved into static, whispers weaving through the noise. Tom tried small talk, where she was from, why she was out so late, but Mary stared ahead, her eyes fixed on the road, her face pale, almost translucent. "I didn't mean to leave them," she murmured suddenly, her voice hollow, her eyes glistening with tears that didn't fall. Tom glanced at her, confused, but she didn't explain. The static grew, forming words he couldn't catch, and the cab's lights flickered, casting her shadow in jagged shapes. The road stretched endlessly, the storm unrelenting, and Tom felt a presence, as if the cab held more than two. Mary's silence was heavy, her gaze distant, and the air thickened. The scent of wet earth and something sweeter, roses maybe lingering. Halfway to Springfield, Mary turned to him, her face gaunt, her eyes dark pools. "You're kind," she said, her voice echoing, then vanished. The seat was empty, the door locked, the cab warming instantly. The radio snapped back to music, clear and bright. Tom's heart pounded, his hands trembling as he gripped the wheel. He pulled over, searching the cab, the road, the ditch. No footprints, no trace of Mary, only rain and darkness. His breath fogged the windshield, though the heater now roared and his skin prickled as if watched. Shaken, Tom drove to a 24-hour diner in Springfield, its neon sign flickering like a heartbeat. Over black coffee, he told the waitress, Betty, a woman with tired eyes and a smoker's rasp. Her face paled as he described Mary's dress, her words. "That's Mary Ellis," she said, fetching a shoebox of newspaper clippings from behind the counter. She showed him a 1965 article. Mary Ellis, 21, died in a car crash on Route 66, her sedan skidding into a ravine during a storm. She was driving to Springfield to see her 2 children, left with her mother after a bitter divorce. The photo showed Mary, her white dress unmistakable, her eyes haunted, her smile forced. "Drivers see her," Betty said. "She begs for a ride, but she never makes it home. Been that way for years." Tom pored over the clipping, its details searing into him. Mary's car was found mangled, her body thrown clear, her dress oddly clean. Witnesses reported seeing her before the crash, waving for help, but no one stopped. Tom learned of other drivers, truckers, travelers, locals, who'd picked up a woman in white, only for her to vanish. Some saw her in their mirrors, her face pressed against the glass. Others heard her voice in the wind, pleading, "Don't leave me." The diner's regulars shared their own tales, their voices low, their eyes darting to the windows, as if Mary might appear. Unable to sleep, Tom returned to Route 66 weeks later, driven by a mix of fear and guilt. The storm was gone, the sky clear, but the road felt alive, its shadows shifting. At the same mile marker, Mary stood, her dress flickering like a broken film reel, her hand raised. Tom sped past, his heart racing, but the radio crackled, her voice clear. "Take me home." The cab grew cold, the mirrors fogging, and Tom swore he saw her in the passenger seat, her eyes locked on him. He slammed the gas, the rig roaring, and the vision faded, but the rose's scent lingered, sharp and accusing. Tom retired in 1986, unable to drive Route 66 again. He settled in Peoria, but the legend followed, whispered in truck stops and bars. Route 66 remains, its asphalt cracked, its stories alive. Drivers report a woman in white, her hand raised, her eyes pleading. Some stop, their passengers vanishing. Others hear a lament in the rain, a mother bound to a road she'll never leave. The Springfield diner still stands, Betty's shoebox now a binder. Mary's photo faded, but her story sharp. Locals warned the hitchhiker, her kindness a lure, her grief a chain that binds the night. The phone that never stops. In the bitter winter of 1990, Lisa Carter, a 27-year-old graphic designer, moved into a one-bedroom apartment on Chicago's South Side, a neighborhood of sagging tenements and flickering streetlights. The rent was dirt cheap, a necessity for a freelance income, but the apartment was grim, peeling wallpaper, stained ceilings, and a faint smell of mildew. Tucked in the corner of the living room was an odd relic, a black rotary phone, its plastic cracked, its cord frayed, plugged into a rusted wall jack. The landlord, Mr. Grimes, a man with yellowed teeth and a permanent scowl, said it was disconnected, a holdover from the 1970s. Lisa, drawn to its vintage charm, kept it on a side table beside her sketchbooks, a quirky contrast to her modern laptop. That first night, as Lisa unpacked boxes under a single bulb, the phone rang, its bell shrill and piercing, shattering the silence. She froze, her hands trembling. Grimes had sworn the line was dead, the building's wiring outdated. She lifted the receiver, her breath shallow, and heard static, thick and crackling, like a storm trapped in the wires. Then came a voice, male rasping, barely audible. "Help me." The line went silent, no dial tone, just a void. Lisa checked the jack. The cord was loose, unplugged, the phone unpowered. She laughed nervously, blaming a cross wire, but her pulse raced and sleep eluded her, the voice echoing her ears. The ringing returned next night, precise at 2:13 a.m. The same voice, clearer, more desperate. "They buried me." Lisa's apartment grew cold, the radiator hissing uselessly, and her breath fogged the air. She unplugged the phone, wrapping the cord tightly, but it rang again, the receiver vibrating, the bell deafening. Her lights flickered, casting shadows that curled like fingers, and the static formed whispers, names she couldn't catch. Lisa tried calling the landlord, but her own phone, a modern cordless, died, its battery drained. She recorded a call with a cassette player, capturing the man's plea, but the tape played only static, the voice erased. Lisa knocked on her neighbor's door, Mrs. Ortiz, a retired seamstress who'd lived in the building since the 1960s. Mrs. Ortiz listened, her face paling, her hands clutching a rosary. "That's James Reed," she whispered, crossing herself. In 1973, Reed, a reclusive tenant in Lisa's apartment, grew paranoid, claiming voices in the walls were watching him. He vanished one night, his belongings untouched, his rent paid. Rumors spread a construction accident nearby, a worker buried alive under concrete, his cries ignored to meet deadlines. Mrs. Ortiz showed Lisa a faded photo of Reed, his eyes hollow, his jaw sharp, his voice matching the phone's rasp. Lisa visited the Chicago Public Library, digging through microfilm. A 1973 article detailed Reed's disappearance, noting his complaints to police, dismissed as delusion. A construction site collapsed nearby, killed no one. Officially, but locals whisper a cover-up, a man trapped in the foundation, his fate sealed. Lisa found Reed's journal in an archive, its pages frantic, describing voices that named him, walls that pulsed. Her dreams turned vivid, showing Reed dirt-caked, clawing at concrete, his mouth open in a silent scream, his eyes pleading through the dark. The calls grew violent, the phone shaking, its bell a scream, the voice roaring, "Find me!" Lisa's mirrors fogged, revealing Reed, gaunt, his hands smeared with earth, his fingers scratching the glass. Her sketches were ruined, inked with words. Buried, alive. The apartment's air thickened, the scent of damp soil choking her. She saw Reed in her living room, his form flickering, his hands reaching, dirt falling from his sleeves. The phone's cord writhed, coiling like a snake, and Lisa screamed, the figure vanishing, but the ringing persisted, relentless. Lisa called Father Michael, a priest from a nearby parish, who arrived with holy water and a worn Bible. He sensed torment in the apartment, the air heavy with despair. As he blessed the phone, it rang, Reed's voice bellowing, "No rest." The lights died, the windows rattled, and Father Michael stumbled, urging Lisa to flee. She moved to a friend's apartment, but the ringing followed. faint in her dreams. Reeds plea a whisper in her skull. The South Side building stands, its apartment re-rented. But tenants flee, reporting a phone that rings at 2:13 a.m., its voice desperate, its call a chain to a grave no one can unearth. The girl in the alley. In the damp summer of 2005, Jake Morales, a 24-year-old bartender, worked late shifts at a dive bar near Pike Place Market in Seattle, pouring drinks for sailors and tourists. His nights ended at 1 a.m., and he'd take a shortcut through a narrow alley to catch the last bus home. The alley was a grim gauntlet, graffiti-smeared walls, overflowing dumpsters, the air sour with rot. But it saved time, and Jake, toughened by city life, thought little of its dangers. One rainy night, as he hurried through, his breath foggy in the chill, he saw a figure leaning against a dumpster. A girl, maybe 16, in a red coat, her face pale, her eyes wide, her dark hair matted. "Don't go that way," she whispered, pointing deeper into the alley, her voice trembling but firm. Jake stopped, his heart skipping. The alley was empty, the streetlights flickering, casting her shadow long and jagged. He called out, asking if she was okay, but she didn't move, her gaze locked on the darkness ahead. The air grew cold, the scent of roses, sharp, unnatural, cutting through the garbage stink. He stepped closer, but she vanished, the roses fading, the light steadying. Jake's skin prickled, his mind racing, exhaustion, maybe a trick of the light. He took the long route, his bus ride home haunted by her face, her warning echoing. The next night, Jake steeled himself and walked the alley again, half expecting her. She was there, same red coat, same spot, her voice sharper. "Don't go that way." He asked her name, her story, but she flickered like a bad signal. Gone in a blink. The roses returned stronger and his phone died, its screen black. At the bus stop, he told the driver, Earl, a grizzled man who'd driven the route for decades. Earl's face darkened, his hands tightening on the wheel. "That's Rosie Callahan," he said, pulling a crumpled 1989 article from his glove box. Rosie, 16, was mugged and killed in that alley, her red coat soaked in blood, her body found by a delivery driver. Her photo matched the girl, her eyes haunting, her smile faint. "She warns people," Earl said. "Saved a few, but you gotta listen." Jake dove into Rosie's story, visiting the Seattle Public Library, poring over news archives. Rosie was a runaway, kind but naive, known for helping strangers in the market. Her death was brutal, a robbery gone wrong, her killer never caught. Witnesses claimed she warned others in the alley. Even as a kid, her compassion, her undoing. Jake found a memorial page, her friends describing her love for roses, a detail that chilled him. His dreams grew vivid. Rosie in the alley, her coat vivid, her eyes pleading, her voice urging, "Stay safe." He saw her in reflections, bus windows, bar mirrors, her presence lingering, her warning a constant hum. Jake avoided the alley, taking longer routes, but Rosie's image persisted, her roses scent following him. One night, after a double shift and too many beers, he stumbled through the alley, ignoring his instincts. Rosie appeared, her face clear, her hand pointing to a shadow, a man, knife glinting, waiting in the dark. Jake's blood ran cold, and he ran, his boots slipping, the man's footsteps fading. He reached the street, safe, Rosie gone. The next day, he learned of an attack in the alley, a victim less lucky. Jake quit the bar, moving to a new neighborhood. But Rosie's legend endures. The alley remains, its walls scarred, its air heavy. Locals report a girl in red, her warnings whispered, her roses a fleeting scent. Some say her spirit guards a lost, her voice a shield. Others fear her warning is a lure, tying souls to the alley's dark. Pike Place hums, but the alley waits, Rosie's code a beacon, her sacrifice eternal. The bus that never arrives. In the foggy autumn of 1997, Clara Nguyen, a 32-year-old nurse from Los Angeles, worked punishing night shifts at Cedars-Sinai Hospital, her life a blur of fatigue and fluorescent lights. Her commute home relied on the Crenshaw Boulevard bus stop, a desolate slab of concrete under a flickering streetlight, flanked by shuttered storefronts and graffiti-stained walls. The neighborhood was rough, its streets quiet after midnight, but Clara, hardened by years in the ER, trusted her instincts to keep her safe. One evening, as a dense fog rolled in from the Pacific, swallowing the city in a gray shroud, a rusted bus creaked to a stop, its paint peeling like dead skin, its windows dark, reflecting nothing. The sign read, Route 13. A line Clara had never heard of, and the air around the bus was colder, sharper, biting through her scrubs. The driver, a man in a gray cap, stared straight ahead, his face shadowed, his hands still on the wheel. Exhausted, her feet throbbing, Clara boarded, dropping coins into the fare box. Their clink unnaturally loud in the silence. The bus's interior was grim, seats damp with a slick, unplaceable moisture, the air heavy with a scent of rust and something sour, like spoiled milk. Clara sat near the front, clutching her bag, her breath visible in the icy air. The city outside blurred, buildings twisting into unfamiliar shapes, their lights dimming as if snuffed out. She glanced at the driver, but his seat was empty, the wheel turning itself, the bus speeding through fog, so thick it erased sound. Clara's heart raced. She shouted, pounding the doors, but they were sealed, the glass cold as a tombstone. Her phone, usually reliable, was dead, its screen black, and the bus's hum deepened, a growl that vibrated in her bones. The windows showed nothing but fog, but Clara swore she saw faces, pale, eyeless, pressing against the glass, their mouths open in silent screams. The bus lurched to a stop at a deserted lot, weeds choking cracked asphalt. The fog parting to reveal a place Clara didn't recognize. No buildings, no roads, just a vast, empty expanse. She stumbled out, her legs trembling, and the doors slammed shut, the bus dissolving into mist, its engines echo lingering like a dying breath. Clara wandered for hours, her scrubs soaked, her shoes caked with mud, until she reached a gas station, its clerk staring as she explained her night. He checked a map. She was 20 miles from Crenshaw, in a derelict industrial zone, a place buses didn't go. Shaken, Clara returned to work, telling her colleague, Maria, a lifelong Angelino with a passion for local history. Maria's face drained of color. "That's the ghost bus," she said, pulling a yellowed 1968 article from her locker. Route 13 had crashed into a ravine, killing 12 passengers and the driver, Harold Vance. The wreckage was scrapped, but the bus reappeared, picking up late-night riders, never reaching its destination. Vance's photo showed a man in a gray cap, his eyes hollow, his jaw set, matching the driver Clara saw. Clara threw herself into research. scouring library archives for Route 13 story. The crash was a tragedy. Mechanical failure, a foggy night, a ravine too deep. No survivors, only rumors of cursed route. Its driver doomed to roam. Witnesses described the bus, its windows glowing, its seats wet, its passengers trapped in an endless loop. Clara found a survivor's account, or so it claimed. A man who boarded Route 13 in 1970, only to wake in a field, his memory fractured. His watch stopped at the crash's time. Her dreams grew vivid, showing the passengers, their faces pale, their hands beckoning. Vance at the wheel, his cap low, his eyes fixed on her. The hospital's halls felt colder, the fog outside thicker, and Clara swore she heard the bus's engine in the distance, its hum a summons. She avoided the Crenshaw stop, splurging on cabs, but the bus haunted her. Driving home, she'd see it in her rear-view mirror, its windows glowing, its fog trailing like a shroud. Her apartment grew strange. Her keys rearranged, her mirrors fogged, the scent of rust lingering. One night, desperate to end the cycle, Clara waited at the stop, the fog rolling in. Route 13 appeared, its doors open, the air freezing. She saw Vance, his cap tilted, his hand gesturing her aboard. The passengers' faces pressed against the windows, their eyes pleading, their mouths forming her name. Clara ran, her scream swallowed by the fog, the bus's horn a mournful wail as it vanished. She moved to a new neighborhood, but the dreams persisted. The buses hum a whisper in her sleep. The Crenshaw stop remains, its bench weathered, its light flickering. Riders report Route 13, its air cold, its driver silent. A bus that arrives but never delivers. Locals whisper of passengers trapped in a fog-bound loop, their voices calling for company. Some claim Vance seeks redemption, others that he collects souls for his route. Los Angeles sprawls, its streets alive, but the fog hides a bus that roams, its wheels turning, its destination a void no map can chart. The mirror in the motel. In the sweltering summer 2010, Sarah Blake, a 34-year-old freelance journalist, checked into the Starlight Motel off Interstate 95 in rural Georgia, chasing a story about a string of disappearances along the highway. The motel was a relic of the 1950s, faded pink walls, a buzzing neon sign proclaiming vacancy, rooms reeking of mildew and cheap pine cleaner. Room 12 was sparse, with a sagging bed, a chipped dresser, and a cracked full-length mirror bolted to the wall, its edges fogged, its surface warped, reflecting Sarah's tired face in distorted fragments. She set up her laptop, her recorder, and a stack of notes, planning to interview locals about the missing. Truckers, travelers, drifters, all gone without a trace. That night, at 2 a.m., a hum woke her, low and electric, pulsing from the mirror like a heartbeat. Sarah sat up, her skin prickling, and saw her reflection flicker, her face pale, her eyes black voids, her mouth moving though she was silent. She blinked, and it was normal, but the hum persisted, the air growing cold, her breath fogging. She checked the mirror, running her fingers along its cracks, but found nothing, no wires, no source. The next night, the hum returned louder, and the mirror showed others, a man in a suit, his tie loose, a woman in a scarf, her lips trembling, a child with braided hair, her eyes wide, their hands pressed against the glass, their faces pleading, their gazes locked on Sarah. She grabbed her camera, snapping photos, but the images showed only her, The figures gone. Those shadows lingered in the corners. The hum became voices, faint, overlapping, a chorus of whispers. Leave now. Sarah's notes were scrawled with words she didn't write. Stay, see us. And her recorder captured static, laced with faint cries. Her dreams were vivid. The figures pulling her to the mirror, their hands cold, their faces melting into shadow, their voices naming her. She asked the motel's clerk, Ruth, an elderly woman with trembling hands and wary eyes. Ruth sighed, her voice low. Room 12's cursed, she said, showing a 1980s article from a local paper. 5 guests had vanished from the room, all reporting visions in the mirror before disappearing. Their belongings were found, but they were gone, their fates unknown. Ruth hinted at older stories, whispers of a deal made in the room, but refused to say more, her eyes darting to the mirror's reflection. Sarah dove into the motel's history, driving to the county library, poring over records. The Starlight was built in 1954 by Amos Holt, a businessman with a reputation for shady deals. In 1975, Holt died in room 12, his body found facing the mirror, his eyes wide, his hands clutching his chest, a smile frozen on his face. Locals whispered he'd made a pact with something in the glass, trading lives for wealth. The mirror a gateway to a place no one returned from. Sarah found police reports of the missing, their statements eerily similar. Faces in the mirror, voices calling, a pull they couldn't resist. Her investigation fueled her, but the mirror's voices grew, chanting her name. Sarah, stay. Their words weaving into her thoughts, her sleep fractured by their pleas. The room changed. Her laptop glitched, displaying faces in the mirror, their eyes following her cursor. Her recorder played back voices she hadn't heard. Don't leave us. And her mirrors at home fogged, showing the same figures. The motel's air grew heavy, the scent of decay, rotting wood, damp earth, clinging to her clothes. Sarah interviewed a local historian, Dr. Evelyn Marsh, who spoke of the mirror's origins, a relic from a 19th century estate, tied to vanishings long before the motel. Marsh warned her to leave, sensing hunger in the room, but Sarah stayed, determined to break the story. One night, the mirror glowed, its surface rippling like water, the hum deafening. Hands emerged, cold and gray, their touch burning Sarah's skin, pulling her toward the glass. She saw the figures clearly, dozens, their faces twisted, their voices a scream. Join us! Sarah fought, smashing the mirror with a lamp, the glass shattering, voices howling. You can't leave! Shards cut her hands, blood dripping on the floor, but the figures retreated, the hum fading to silence. She fled, her car roaring down I-95, the motel's neon fading in her rearview mirror, but the voices lingered in her dreams, faint, calling her back. The Starlight Motel stands, its sign buzzing, room 12's mirror place, its hum waiting, guest report faces in glass, hands that pull, a cold that seeps into bones. Some say the mirror is a trap, its figure souls bound by Holt's deal. Others believe it's a gate, open to those who look too long. The highway hums, but room 12 remains, its reflection watching, its price eternal. The shadow on the bridge. In the foggy winter of 2003, Ethan Cole, a 21-year-old biology major at Portland State University, crossed the Hawthorne Bridge nightly to his dorm, its steel frame arching over the Willamette River like a skeleton in the mist. The bridge was a shortcut, its lights dim, its air thick with the river's damp chill. Ethan, the rationalist, dismissed the city's ghost stories, but the bridge felt different at night. Its shadows deeper, its hum louder, as the water below whispered secrets. One night, as fog swallowed Portland, blanketing the skyline, Ethan saw a shadow at the bridge's center, a tall figure in a long coat, motionless, its edges blurring like smoke, its presence heavier than the mist. He called out, his voice muffled, but the figure didn't stir, the river's roar growing, the air freezing. Ethan approached, his boots echoing on the walkway, and the shadow vanished, the fog parting, the bridge silent, leaving only a faint scent of tobacco, sharp and out of place. The next night, the shadow was closer, its form sharper, its face a featureless void, no eyes, no mouth, just darkness. Ethan's phone died, its screen flickering, and the streetlights dimmed, plunging the bridge into gloom. He felt a pull, a weight on his chest, as if the shadow breathed his air. He ran, its presence trailing him, a cold hand brushing his neck. At a 24-hour diner near campus, he told Joe, a homeless man who camped on the bridge, his face weathered, his eyes sharp. Joe nodded, pulling a 1972 clipping from his coat. Samuel Kane, 45, had jumped from a Hawthorne bridge, his body never found, his leap blamed on debt and despair. His shadow lingered, luring others to the edge. Students, workers, drifters, some jumping, others vanishing into fog. Kane's photo showed a man in a long coat, his eyes hollow, his jaw tight, a cigarette dangling from his lips. The tobacco sent Ethan's clue. Ethan threw himself into research, combing university archives for Kane's story. Police reports described his life. Failed business, broken marriage, a man unraveling. Witnesses reported his shadow before disappearances, a pattern spanning decades, their accounts chilling. A pull toward a railing, a voice whispering, "Come." Ethan found a 1980s diary from a survivor, a student who felt the shadows call but escaped, her words frantic. It wanted me to jump to join him. Ethan's dreams grew dark. Kane's shadow on the bridge, his hand beckoning. The river black and endless, its current pulling him under. He saw the shadow in reflections, puddles, dorm windows, its form clearer, its coat flapping, its tobacco scent stronger. The bridge became a fixation. Ethan avoided it, taking buses, but the city felt alive, its fog thicker, its shadows longer. He interviewed a local psychic, Madame Rosa, who sensed grief on the bridge, a soul trapped by choice, seeking others to share his fall. Rosa's session ended abruptly, her candle snuffed, her voice shaking. "He sees you." Ethan's dorm grew strange. His books opened to pages about suicide, his mirrors fogged, the scent of tobacco clinging to his clothes. One night, driven by a need to confront it, Ethan crossed the bridge, the fog dense, the river roaring. The shadow stood taller, its form solidifying, its voice a rasp. Jump. Ethan felt a pull, his feet inching toward the railing, the fog swallowing sound. He screamed, clutching the railing, and ran, the shadow fading, the tobacco scent lingering, the bridge trembling under his feet. Ethan transferred schools, leaving Portland, but the shadow haunted his dreams, its whisper faint but persistent. The Hawthorne Bridge stands, its lights dim in fog, its walkway worn. Locals report the bridge man, his coat flapping, his call a lure to the depths. Some say Kane's despair binds him. seeking company in the dark. Others believe the shadow feeds on fear, growing with each soul it tempts. Portland's skyline glows, but the river hides a shadow that waits. Its bridge a path to the void, its voice a call no one can ignore. The room at the top. In the rainy spring of 1994, Anna Rivera, a 29-year-old illustrator from Oakland, rented a top-floor room in a San Francisco boarding house. Its Victorian facade crumbling under decades of neglect. The house was a maze of narrow halls and creaking stairs. Its rent low enough for Anna's freelance budget. Her room was cozy, with slanted ceilings and a foggy view of the bay. But it had a locked closet, its key missing. It was scarred with deep, frantic scratches. At night, as Anna sketched in her flickering lamp, she heard scratching from inside, slow and deliberate, like nails dragging across boards, followed by whispers soft but human. "Let me out." She knocked on the door, thinking of rats, but the sound stopped only to resume louder, the whispers clearer, forming a name, Clara. Anna's dreams were vivid. The woman in the closet, her hands bloody, her eyes wide with terror, her voice pleading, "Free me." Her sketches, left on her desk, were marred, scratched with jagged lines forming Clara, help me. The ink wet, smelling of iron. The room grew cold, her breath visible. The closet door rattling as if pushed from within. Anna asked the landlord, Mr. Doyle, a man with a permanent scowl and whiskey breath. "Rats," he grunted, avoiding her eyes. But his hand shook as he turned away, desperate. Anna confided in her neighbor, Mrs. Lee, a retired nurse who'd lived there since the 1950s. Mrs. Lee's face paled, her voice low. "That's Clara Voss," she said, showing a 1965 photo. Clara, 22, pale, dark-haired, her smile forced. She'd been locked in a closet by a jealous lover, left to die. Her body found weeks later, the room sealed, her scratches a desperate plea. Anna researched Clara's death, visiting the San Francisco Public Library, digging through police reports. The lover, a drifter named Paul Kane, confessed, claiming Clara's screams haunted him, her voice in the walls. He was jailed, but the boarding house's reputation grew grim. Tenants reported noises, some fleeing, others vanishing. Anna found a 1970s tenant's letter describing the closet's whispers, a woman's cry, a pull to open the door. Her dreams intensified. Clara in the closet, her nails broken, her face gaunt, her hands clawing at Anna. The room changed. Her pens rolled the closet, her sketches burned, curling into ash, the air thick with the scent of blood and damp wood. Anna pried open the closet, using a crowbar, revealing a cramped space, its walls carved with Clara in frantic, overlapping script, the scratches deep, some stained red. The whispers became screams, the room shaking, the ceiling cracking, a figure appearing, Clara, her hands clawing, her voice a wail. "Free me!" Anna's flashlight died, the air freezing, the scratches glowing faintly, forming new words. "Stay." She stumbled back, the closet door slamming, the screams echoing in her skull. Anna's mirrors fogged, showing Clara behind her, her hands reaching, her eyes hollow. The boarding house's halls grew dark, the stairs creaking under unseen steps, the scent of blood stronger. Anna called Madame Elise, a medium known in the Mission District, who arrived with sage and a leather-bound book of rites. Elise sensed rage in the closet, A soul trapped by betrayal, its pain a chain. She burned sage, chanting for Clara's rest. But the door slammed, the sage snuffed, and Clara's scream shook the walls, the air freezing. Elise collapsed, her breath ragged, urging Anna to flee. She won't let go. That night, the closet glowed, Clara's form lunging, her hands cold as ice, her voice a chorus. Stay with me. Anna ran, the boarding house trembling, the screams chasing her down the stairs, the halls twisting, the doors locking. She escaped, her sketches left behind, now inked with Clara's face, her eyes pleading. Anna moved to Oakland, but Clara's voice lingered in her dreams, faint, calling her back. The boarding house stands, its top room empty, its closet locked, its scratches alive. Tenants report whispers, a woman's cry, a door that rattles at night. Some say Clara seeks release, others that she traps souls to share her prison. San Francisco's fog rolls, but the room at the top remains, its closet a tomb, its occupant forever bound, her plea a chain that binds the dark. The song in the subway. In the crisp fall of 2008, Mia Chun, a 26-year-old violinist, scraped by playing gigs in New York City's dive bars. Her nights ending with late subway rides home to a cramped Brooklyn apartment. Her routine was punishing. Rehearsals by day, performances by night. The G line her lifeline, its rattling cars a familiar drone. One night, at a deserted station on the G line, as the clock ticked past 3 a.m., she heard a woman singing, a haunting melody, slow and mournful, echoing from the tunnels, its notes curling to the hum of fluorescent lights. The platform was empty, its tiles cracked, its air cold, the song alive, weaving around Mia like a thread. She recorded on her phone, but the file was static, the melody erased, though she hummed it, unable to forget, its notes etched in her mind. The singing returned every late ride, always at 3 a.m., joined by footsteps, soft but deliberate, echoing in the dark tunnels. Mia saw a figure in a tattered dress, singing, her face obscured, her form fading into the tunnel's mouth. Her violin string snapped, tuned to the song's key, and her sheet music was marked with notes she didn't write. The ink wet, smelling of copper like blood. Mia's dreams grew vivid. The singer in the tunnel, her hands bleeding, her song a plea, her face half seen, her eyes glowing. She asked the station worker, Tony, a man with a limp and a cigarette habit, who knew the legend. In 1950, Ella Monroe, a street performer, fell onto the tracks, her song cut short by a train. Her voice lingered, heard by night riders, her melody a call from beyond. Tony showed a 1950s photo of Ella, her dress torn, her eyes bright, matching the figure Mia saw. Mia researched Ella, scouring newspaper archives at the New York Public Library. Ella was a Harlem singer, her talent overshadowed by poverty, her death a footnote in the city's chaos. Witnesses reported her song, some claiming it saved them from muggings, others saying it trapped them, their watches stopping at 3 a.m., their steps drawn to the tracks. Mia found a 1960s recording, a grainy tape of Ella's voice, its melody matching the subway's song, chilling her. Her apartment grew strange. Her violin played notes unstrung, her mirrors fogged, the scent of copper clinging to her clothes. Mia sketched the tunnels, her drawings marred with Ella's notes, the ink spreading like a wound. Mia's obsession grew. She rode the G line nightly, waiting for Ella, her violin case heavy, as if holding more than wood. She interviewed a retired MTA worker, Mr. Gaines, who'd heard Ella's song in the 1970s, describing a pull to the tracks, a voice urging him to jump. Gaines warned her to stop listening, sensing hunger in the melody, but Mia couldn't. One night, she waited at the station, recording, her flashlight flickering. Ella appeared, her face clear, her hands reaching, her song deafening, the subway shaking, the tunnel glowing with a sickly light. The air thickened, the scent of copper choking, and Ella's voice became a scream. "Sing with me." Mia fled, her violin case slipping, the melody chasing her, its notes in her blood. She quit her gigs, moving to Queens, but Ella's song lingered in her dreams, faint, calling her back. The G line runs, its tunnels dark, its stations worn. Riders hear Ella's melody, see her figure flickering, her voice a beacon or a trap. Some say she sings for redemption, others that she binds the lost. Her song a thread in the city's pulse. Brooklyn hums, but the tunnels hide a melody that never fades, its singer waiting for the next to join her chorus. The man in the window. In the snowy winter of 2011, Greg Lawson, a 31-year-old programmer, lived in a Denver high-rise. Its 10th floor apartment, a sleek haven with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Rockies. The view was his escape, the mountains glowing under moonlight, but the city's hum kept him grounded, his night spent coding under LED lights. One night, past midnight, as snow fell thickly, Greg saw a man outside his window, pressed against the glass, staring. His face was gaunt, his eyes black voids, his hands tapping a slow, deliberate rhythm, each tap echoing like a heartbeat. Greg blinked, and the man was gone. The window locked, the air cold, his breath fogging the glass, the scent of wet concrete sharp in the room. The man returned nightly, closer, his taps louder, the glass trembling, tiny cracks forming at the edges. Greg's lights flickered, his monitors glitching, showing the man's face in pixelated flashes. His mirrors reflected the figure behind him, its form sharper, its eyes glinting like oil. Greg's neighbor, Mrs. Patel, a retired teacher with a warm smile, shared a 1980 story. Henry Klein, a worker, fell during the building's construction in a blizzard, his body vanishing in the snow, his death blamed on wind. His face appeared in windows, watching tenants, some driven paranoia, others fleeing. Mrs. Patel showed a photo of Klein, his eyes matching the man's, his expression grim, his hands calloused, a hard hat tilted on his head. Greg researched Klein, visiting the Denver Public Library, finding reports of his fall, a tragedy buried in the city's growth. The high-rise was rushed, safety ignored, and Klein's body was lost in the foundation's pour, a fact whispered but never confirmed. Tenants reported his face, their windows cracking, their dreams haunted by his gaze, his taps a code. Greg set up cameras, capturing Klein's outline, his taps spelling "see me" in Morse, a detail that chilled him. His apartment grew cold, the air heavy, the scent of concrete and snow lingering. His dreams showed Klein, his hands clawing glass, his voice a rasp. Look. The high-rise halls felt alive, the elevators stalling, the windows fogging with handprints. Greg's obsession grew. He interviewed a former foreman, Mr. Torres, who'd worked the construction, his voice shaky as he described Klein's fall, a scream lost in the storm, his body never found. Torres warned Greg to move, sensing anger in the building. But Greg stayed, coding through the nights, his cameras rolling. The taps became knocks, the glass bowing, the cracks spreading. One night, the window glowed, Klein's hands pushing through, the glass splintering, his voice a roar. "Look at me!" The room shook. The monitors died, and Klein's form lunged, his hands cold, his eyes burning. Greg screamed, grabbing a chair, smashing the window, the glass shattering, the figure retreating, the snow rushing in. He fled, the high-rise trembling, Klein's taps echoing in the skull, the scent of concrete choking him. Greg moved the boulder, but Klein's face lingered in his dreams, faint, watching. The high-rise stands, its windows gleaming, its 10th floor quiet. Tenants report a face at night, its gaze heavy, its taps a summons. Some say Klein seeks witness, others that he claims those who live too long. His anger chained to the building's bones. Denver shines, but the windows hide a man who watches. His rhythm a call to the dark, his presence a weight no glass can hold. The street that vanishes. In the foggy fall of 2000, Rachel Kim, a 22-year-old student at Boston University, lived in a cramped apartment near campus. Her days a whirlwind of lectures, part-time jobs, and late-night study sessions. Her walk home took her down Elm Street, a quiet lane of brownstones and flickering streetlights, its cobblestones worn, its charm a balm against the city's chaos. One foggy night, as she hurried through, her scarf tight against a chill, the street stretched longer, its buildings unfamiliar, their signs unreadable, written in a script that twisted her eyes, curling like smoke. A child's laughter echoed, high and wrong, not playful but sharp, cutting through the fog. The air grew heavy, the scent of ash, burned wood, charred cloth, clinging to her. Rachel turned back, but Elm Street was gone, replaced by a brick wall, cold and solid, its mortar damp, its surface scratched with faint, frantic marks. Panicked, Rachel wandered, her phone dead, the fog swallowing sound, until she reached her dorm hours later. Her shoes caked with mud from an unknown place, her scarf singed at the edges. Her campus map showed no Elm Street, only a parking lot where it should be. She confided in Mr. Howell, a librarian with a passion for Boston's history, his office cluttered with old maps and yellow books. His face fell, his voice low. "That's the Lost Lane," he said, showing a 1940s article from the Boston Globe. Elm Street was demolished for a highway, its residents displaced. But some walked it, trapped in a loop, their footsteps heard in fog. The article listed missing students, last seen on the street, their belongings found in empty lots, their fates unknown, their names scratched into nearby walls. Rachel researched the lane, visiting the Boston Public Library, finding tales of a 1938 fire that razed Elm Street, trapping dozens, families, children, workers, in their homes, their screams lost in the blaze. Witnesses described the street reappearing in fog, its buildings alive, their windows glowing with eyes, their doors creaking open. Rachel found a survivor's account, a girl who'd walked Elm Street in 1950, describing laughter, hands grabbing her, a street that wouldn't let go. Rachel's dreams grew vivid, Elm Street's cobblestones shifting, its buildings breathing, the laughter louder, hands pulling her into doorways, their fingers charred, their eyes glowing, her apartment changed, her keys rearranged, her mirrors fogged, the scent of ash heavy, Her books open to pages about fires. Rachel's obsession grew. She avoided the area, taking buses, but the fog drew her. The streets pull magnetic, its laughter a whisper in her ears. She interviewed a local historian, Dr. Claire Evans, who spoke of Elm Street's curse, a fire sparked by greed, a landlord's arson for insurance, the residents' deaths a secret buried by the city. Evans warned her to stay away, sensing memory in the fog, but Rachel couldn't. One night, she walked the area, the fog thick, Elm Street solidifying, its cobblestones real, its buildings tall, their windows glowing. The laughter grew, figures in windows, children, adults, their faces burned, their hands beckoning, their voices chanting her name. Rachel ran, the street dissolving, the fog lifting, her scream swallowed, her scarf falling, singed black. She moved to Cambridge, but the laughter lingered in her dreams, faint, calling her back. Elm Street is gone, its space a lot. The locals report a lane in fog, its signs flickering, its laughter a call. Some say the street is a trap, its residents bound by fire, seeking company. Others believe it's a memory, replaying its tragedy, its souls trapped in ash. Boston hums, its skyline bright, but the fog hides a street that vanishes, its cobblestones waiting, its laughter a lure for the next to walk its flames. And so, our descent into the city's creepiest legends fades into fog. If these true scary stories have chilled your soul or lulled you into the night's embrace, we spun the tale just right. Join us tomorrow for more true scary stories to sleep, where we'll venture into the unknown with tales of cursed objects that refuse to be forgotten. Like, subscribe, and share to spread the darkness. Until next time, sleep well if the shadows let you.